We are in Newport getting ready to take off for Bermuda. There's been a couple delays as we're waiting for a good weather window. And once this last front passes this morning, then we're going to take off.
We got our crew with us, all volunteer crew, professional sailors. Everything's going to be great. So
yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah. You guys are here because you wanted to be here, right?
Oh, of course. We are making these statements of our own free will.
Oh, great.
We love these guys,
All
and
right.
we can hardly wait to get out on the water.
That's so good to hear. It's so good to have people who are engaged in sailing, and we really look forward to having a great passage with these guys. They're going to do all the work, by the way, and we're going to just nap. So
yeah.
So we'll see you in Bermuda.
See you in Bermuda. We were expecting robust conditions at the beginning of the trip, and that's just what we got. Day one, about 4:30. Got our hands full. It's like being on one of those mechanical bowls, about 15 degrees, non-stop. And you gotta go to the bathroom and trim the sails. Try and drink while you're on that bowl. Conditions will improve from here, which is good.
Conditions were indeed a bit rough to begin with. The waves weren't particularly high, but we were running pretty much straight into them, which made for pretty uncomfortable motion for the first 12 hours or so.
Okay, we are in the early evening of day 2, about 240 nautical miles into our trip. Continued challenging conditions, although different from yesterday and last night. Winds have been mostly around 25 to 30, although now we're not seeing too many of the 30s. We've got high swells coming in a couple different directions, so it's not the nice rolly swells, but we're able to keep up mostly 10 knots these last many hours, and we've been doing some surfing at 12 and 13 knots, so it's a lot of fun, it's a lot of work. The helming in these conditions take a lot of strength, and so it's really good that we're trading off and we're all resting in between our helming time. And we are going to be entering the Gulf Stream within probably just a couple of hours, so tonight will be the Gulf Stream passing.
Alright, so here we are. We just entered the Gulf Stream, and even though I was impressed onto the crew against my will, the food is good, the company is great, and we're having a good time.
Any thoughts, Jeff?
Learning a lot. This is my first trip into the Gulf Stream and having a great time.
Woohoo! And you, sir?
As we approached latitude 38 north, we started noticing the water temperature ticking up about 1/10 of a degree every few minutes. We expected to start getting the usual tossing around that you get in the Gulf Stream, but surprisingly at first, the stream was really well behaved. Actually seemed to almost smooth out a little bit for us, in fact.
It wasn't until we were almost out of the Gulf Stream that we got into some trouble.
At about 2 a.m. in the dark, the sea state in the Gulf Stream changed pretty drastically. We found ourselves into some pretty steep and confused seas. The winds were still fairly moderate, maybe high teens, low 20s, so we were going along nicely with the double-reefed Maine and the Genoa. But these seas started rounding us up repeatedly into the wind, and it was very difficult to get back off the wind when that happened. And the rig would shake very violently each time. It was starting to get a little bit concerning.
I joined Bob in the cockpit. Each time Argon got rounded up, we were beamed to the waves. Several of the bigger waves came crashing over the coamings, flooding the cockpit. One also even went over the cabin top, spilling down below. By this time, it was all hands on deck, and Lance and Jeff joined us in the cockpit. It was really frightening. Thankfully, conditions eased up overnight as expected. In the morning light, we were better able to assess the situation and see the sagging headstay and the torn jib as Argon limped along in the light winds.
There's a more detailed account of what happened as we exited the Gulf Stream on our blog at argonsailing.com.
Innocent, fun video.
I'm going to bring my traveler's checks to a competing resort.
We're almost there. The island's right over there. I'm looking forward to getting back on land.
Anything to say?
Very happy we're almost there. It's an adventure. Went anywhere from really difficult and scary to beautiful, relaxing, and serene. So, ran the gamut. Bermuda Radio, this is sailing vessel Argon on 16.
Sailing vessel Argon, Bermuda Radio, 27, please, 27.
Argon switching to 27.
Sailing vessel Argon, Bermuda Radio, 127. Good morning.
Good morning, Bermuda Radio. I am approaching the Mills marker and the Mills breaker and looking for permission to go into St. George Harbor. Over.
Roger, are you familiar with the navigation into St. George's Harbour and the location of the customs dock?
Yes, sir, I am familiar. Over.
Roger, you're on clear to enter, no opposing traffic. There are 2 vessels on the customs dock presently. They should be cleared by the time you arrive. You're very welcome to Bermuda. We're standing by on 16 and 27 if you wish to clarify anything on your way.
Thank you very much, and Argon will be standing by on 16. After 4 days, almost exactly 96 hours, we were happy to motor through the town cut into St. George Harbor. Yeah, there's only 5 boats there.
We gave the new guy Jeff the honor of raising the Bermudian courtesy flag once we cleared customs. Normally, upon landing in Bermuda, you go straight for the dark and stormies, but we had a lot of work to do. Jeff and Lance jumped right on the tasks at hand. Before we knew it, we had the torn jib removed and taken up to the sail loft. And we immediately started lowering the broken outer headstay.
Perfect. Let's open up wide.
Just to walk it out this way a little bit, so don't take out that lamp post.
The first step in the repairs was to go aloft and get some close-up photos of the damage to the carbon.
We coordinated all repairs with Steve Hollis from Ocean Sails in Bermuda, but also consulted Tim Jackett from Tartan. Aside from the main bit of damage with the outer headstay, we also had a few other things going on. We broke our navigation light, we broke our lazy jacks, and upon closer inspection by Steve Hollis, he discovered that we had a broken strand in our inner headstay, so that had to come down as well.
Bob and I figured out what it would take to get the lazy jacks repaired. So we took a couple hours one morning and I went aloft to restring the lazy jacks. We definitely learned some things along the way. But most importantly, we all arrived safely with no injuries. And now we're eager to address the repairs and continue sailing.